Hello, my name is PJ, and I'm an alcoholic. Gratefully recovered alcoholic. The recovered status is contingent on me doing a few things. One of those things is being of service, trying to help other people, trying to help other alcoholics. Not too long ago, I got this new laptop computer, and a saying that I heard in Alcoholics Anonymous came to my head. Somebody was talking about not having a car, and they got a car, and someone in the program said, "That's not your car, that's God's car. He's just letting you use it. What are you going to do with it?" Right, what does that mean? What does that mean? Well, without a program of recovery, without a connection with a higher power, I personally don't have anything. I mess it all off. I don't know how I got worse and worse and worse at life while using drugs and alcohol, but I screw it all off and I don't have anything, right? So I get into recovery, I take some suggestion, I start working a program, and I start getting these things back. Start getting these things back as a product of working the program. And when I get these things back, right, what am I going to do with it? What am I going to do with it? So here I am with a new laptop computer. I've thought about doing some sort of big book reading for a lot of years now. A lot of years, I always felt like, hey, I might be able to help somebody. And even if I don't help somebody, it's going to help me keep my vibrance in recovery. It's going to help me keep my spiritual fitness, my serenity, my happiness, my joy, my childlike state of happiness. So here I am. Sobriety date of 3/11/18. I have an emotional attachment to that date, but the amount of time that's passed isn't nearly as important as what am I doing on a day-to-day basis. Am I living by the principles of the program? Am I being honest, kind, patient, tolerant, compassionate? Being of service, helping other people. And I don't know that if I would have ended up living this way of life if I hadn't been forced back over. I've always been a pretty good dude. My priorities were different back in my addiction, and it had. I don't know that if I would have dedicated my life to being of service and helping other people, if I hadn't been forced into it, I don't know if I would live my life this way by the principles of the program. But being cornered with addiction seems like, oh, it's so bad. This is so bad that I'm an alcoholic. How could this happen to me? Or this is so bad that my life is the way it is. It's all bad, bad, bad. But in hindsight, is exactly what I needed in order to perfectly place me over here on the other side of the fence in a new lifestyle, a new design for living, where I have found more serenity, happiness, and inner peace, and a good life, a better life than I would have ever had if I never had experienced addiction and alcoholism in the first place. I'm super grateful that I was forced over into take a look at this style of living. So here I am. This is an attempt to be of service, just a little self-seeking motive in that, because when I help other people, I stay sober. When I help other people, I have inner peace. It helps me get out of myself. You'll see it when we read the big book. It talks about helping another alcoholic. Doing that, helping another alcoholic, helps you. It gets you out of yourself, and it when all else fails, help another alcoholic, and you'll stay sober, right? So I hope that somebody else gets something out of this. If they don't, that's okay. It's gonna help me. So here I am. I'm gonna do a book study. Big book, Alcoholics Anonymous. First 164 pages outlines the program. After that, there's stories. There's stories from the founders. There's stories from individuals who maybe didn't hit an extremely severe rock bottom, but they had enough. They wanted to change. There's stories of people who hit a pretty bad rock bottom. I lived down in the gutter for about 4 years. Was a professional. College degrees. I lost all my functionality somehow. I got worse and worse in life, and I lived in the gutter for the last 4 years of my addiction, and screwed everything off, gave it away, some might say. Didn't have a car, didn't have a computer, barely had a roof over my head. I've got some enabling family members, I suppose you could say, that helped me keep a roof over my head, but the quality of my life was absolutely terrible. Even before those 4 years, the quality of my life wasn't very good. I was restless, irritable, anxious, depressed, and I can let you know that I'm not now. I have that childlike state of happiness back. And I think that that's why everybody likes alcohol so much, is it allows them to get that childlike state of happiness back. They're relieved of the emotional and spiritual baggage of becoming an adult, that we keep putting bricks after brick after brick after brick in our backpack. We start off childlike happiness. Most of us start off with childlike happiness. Some of us never had it. Maybe we're abused as kids, things like that. But for me, when I was age 4, 5, 6, I was happy, I was joyous, I was free. And then life happened. I wondered, when I was a kid, I looked at adults and I wondered why aren't they smiling? What happens? And sure enough, life happens. I picked up fear, I picked up resentments, I picked up character defects, and then along the way I picked up guilt and shame. Guilt and shame, these are all bricks that I was putting in my backpack. And they got too heavy. And that's why it became increasingly hard with using alcohol, with using drugs. It became increasingly hard to support myself emotionally, financially, just support myself in general, because the bricks were getting heavy, and it required more alcohol, and it required more substances in order to get by. And I got to a point where I just couldn't do it anymore. I collapsed under the weight of everything that was supposed to be my life, that was my life. And it's an awesome place to be. It's an awesome place to be, just complete collapse. If you're at a place of some willingness to surrender, to take some suggestion. That's where I was. I wandered into Alcoholics Anonymous, and I said, I don't know anything. My life is terrible. And I don't know anything. I don't know anything about being happy. I don't know anything about being happy and sober. And drugs and alcohol are not making me happy anymore. I surrendered a long time ago to being an alcoholic. And I was just going to keep drinking. As long as I can keep drinking or using drugs, I'm going to be okay. And then the drugs and alcohol stopped making me feel good, and it was just pure misery all the time. So I wandered to Alcoholics Anonymous, and I said, shit, I need some help. I don't know anything about being happy. And the drugs and alcohol aren't a solution anymore. So now I'm just miserable. My life is a mess. He said, no worries, we got you. And I opened my ears, and I could hear that some of you guys were happy. You guys were happy. You were comfortable in your own skin. You could laugh. You weren't anxious. You weren't nervous. And when I listened to you guys' stories, you guys sounded miserable like me, and you guys had been through it, and you had a lot of wreckage. Some of you guys had more wreckage than I did. And he said, don't worry, dude. Just do this. Take a suggestion. Take a few suggestions. Do these things, and you too do what we do, and you'll get what we get. Do these things, and you too can have what we have, which is a good life, right? One of those suggestions, after having worked these steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, one of the suggestions was be of service. Be of service to others, right? It's something that I do enjoy doing. I do enjoy doing that. So here's an attempt of being at service. Here's an attempt to share some of my experience, strength, and hope, right? Hopefully somebody else can get something from this. The big book of Alcoholics Anonymous is a little bit hard to read, a little bit hard to pay attention to. Some of the wording is a little off. Some of the words, I don't even understand what they mean. When I first read it, I didn't understand what I was reading. I didn't know what I was reading, but that was okay. What kept me sober was the fact that someone gave me a suggestion, and I was taking that suggestion. And they said, it's all right. Doesn't matter if it goes smooth. Doesn't matter if you understand it. Just take the suggestions, and everything's going to be all right. And I said, all right, I'm going to take these suggestions. So I read this book. So here we are, almost 5 years later, and I'm gonna read the book again. My spiritual fitness, my emotional sobriety, my happiness, my serenity is contingent on what I do on a day-to-day, a week-to-week basis. So here I am, even though I've got a little bit of time sober, I want to read the book again, and I want to read it. I want to chat about it, look up some words I don't know, see if there's things I'm sure I missed, and maybe one of you guys can get a little benefit from listening and reading with me. All right, you guys will get to know me a little bit better as I read the book. I'm going to read chapter for chapter. I'm going to start off in the beginning and read at least through page 164. I might read the stories in the back. That's another few hundred pages. Might switch over to a different book. You guys will get to know me better. You'll get to hear more of my story as I read. I'm going to read a couple pages, couple paragraphs, and when things jump out at me, I'm going to highlight. I'm going to look stuff up, and I'm going to talk about it. Talk about it the way that I see it, because the only way I can talk about it is the way that I see it. The only thing I can talk about is my personal experience with this stuff. And it's been a good experience. I have a really good life. So I'm going to present this the way I see it. Also, what's important to note is that I'm not the guy for everybody, right? I'm not Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm just one of a million, one of several million people who have got to experience Alcoholics Anonymous, If you like this, that's awesome. If you like me, that's awesome. If you don't, just don't be discouraged. There's somebody else out there who you will like, who you can vibe with, right? And that goes for you as a person too. Even if you feel worthless, if you feel like you're a worthless alcoholic, if you feel like you're a useless drug addict and you have no value, you need to understand that whoever it is that you are uniquely set to vibe with some new guy who's going to come into this program, some new girl that's going to come into this program 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 6 months from now. Somebody's going to come into this program, and you are going to be the person that they vibe with. You are going to be the person who can bring that person back to life, into recovery. There's going to be some kid who wanders into Alcoholics Anonymous and they vibe with you specifically. They don't vibe with me maybe, but they vibe with you, and you're that person who can bring them back to health. Their mom's at home crying because she's so stressed about her kid. You get to bring the son back to the mom. You get to bring the husband back to the wife. You get to bring the mom back to the kids. There's kids out there who are crying because their parents can't stop using drugs and drinking alcohol, right? And maybe that's you who's going to get that person to see what this recovery thing is about, right? So all of us alcoholics, all of us in addiction, we have a very special value, a value that we can bring to someone who's waiting out there in the future to find recovery. So with that said, next video coming up, introduction to the big book, right? It's the preface, it's the contents, the preface, and then the forewords, right? Someone told me, they said, Paul, if you make it through the preface, you might just stay sober. So we're going to start there. We're going to read through it. Hopefully we can have some fun with it. I'm going to try to have some fun with it. I like to have fun with the things that I do. If I'm not able to have fun with about 90% of what I'm doing, that makes me not want to do it. So fun, happiness comes from the inside out. So I'm going to try to have some fun with it. Hopefully you guys can enjoy it too. All right. Peace.